Welcome to Vegan A Go-Go. My name is Jess. This is a vegan cooking show, and today we're going to be making Pico de Gallo, which is a little different than salsa in that you don't puree it, but still a very, very tasty and healthy treat. And this recipe I learned from a Hispanic family that I'm very close to, and so it's pretty authentic. What I've started out with already is about a medium onion chopped, and this is about a medium to small dice because you want to make sure everything gets on your chips. And if your onion is a little bit strong in flavor, you can use either a milder onion or less onion if you're not that particular about the taste. I also have about one large tomato chopped up, and you can use Roma tomatoes if you'd like. They may be a little bit easier to cut, and they also have sometimes less of that jelly inside. And you can actually scoop out some of the liquid inside the tomato if that's something you're not particularly fond of. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I chop up my celery. There's kind of my little trick to it. And I'm just going to use one rib of celery for this recipe. And so I just make kind of a couple of long cuts. And the celery you're going to want to dice up very small. And it just has a hint of the flavor of the celery in this. So it's not really a main player, but it does add something to the Pico de Gallo. So I just make these long cuts. And then I just go back and dice it up. Okay. So there's the celery. If you want to get it even smaller, you can run your knife through it a few more times, but I think that this is pretty good. So I'm just going to throw that in my bowl. And this makes a pretty good amount of the Pico de Gallo, but it keeps really well in your refrigerator, and actually the longer it stays in the refrigerator, it sort of marinates in its own juices, which makes it really, really tasty. I also have one jalapeno. And you can use more jalapeno, less jalapeno. You don't have to use a whole jalapeno if you don't like. I'll probably use about half of it, depending on your, likings when it comes to spices. And when you're chopping up jalapenos, what you can do is use oil on your fingers to help avoid that spiciness, because you don't want to get that embedded in your skin and then touch your face or your eyes or anything like that. So what I do is I sort of hack at it like the celery. Just do these little long slices, and then I go back in and do some of these smaller ones. And if you have the seeds and the inner ribs of the jalapeno present, that'll make it a little spicier. So I'm just going to try and chop this up pretty small, and that way it'll get combined throughout the Pico de Gallo, and you won't get a huge spice ball of jalapeno. Although it does make the day more interesting. So just give it a quick chop. And again, more or less, whatever you like. This recipe is sort of more by feel. And so I'm going to try to write it down as best I can. But I do a lot of this to taste. And so you're more than welcome to do that as well. So we're also going to add some cilantro, and I've just got a little bit of washed cilantro here. And I'm going to cut off some of these stems, not all. I mean, the stems still have a lot of flavor, so you can go ahead and use quite a bit of the cilantro plant. And as soon as you start cutting, you can smell it, and it smells so good. We're also going to add some lime to this, and to me it seems important to use lime. If you don't have lime, you could use lemon, but it won't be the real thing. So we really, really like using fresh lime. Okay, a little cilantro in there. And here's our lime. And you want to roll it on the cutting board. And what you can also do even is microwave it. Maybe just warm it up for 30 seconds or so, and that'll help get the juices flowing in there. And just chop it in half, and hopefully if you have a seedless lime, which I do, you just go ahead and squeeze it into the other ingredients. You can see we get quite a bit of juice out of this lime. It's a good lime. And I'm going to go ahead and use both halves. If you have key limes, you may want to use maybe 4 or 5. Just give it a good squeeze. Okay, I'm just going to throw my onions in there. And we also need to add some salt. And the salt's really important because the salt helps to bring out a lot of the other flavors. And this is to taste. So if you're watching your sodium, you may want to add less salt, but I added a pretty good amount. And it's really tasty. Plus, if you're eating this with chips, the chips have a lot of salt on them as well. So you don't want to use too much in the actual Pico de Gallo. But if you're putting this in like a burrito or something else, go ahead and put as much salt in it as you'd like. Okay. So just give this a quick stir. And it's ready to eat as soon as you're done. Although, like I said, if you want to give it some time for the flavors to combine, it just gets better and better. And the juice, you'll actually notice over time that the juices start to come out of the vegetables, especially after you put the salt in. And even that is so delicious that I would almost drink it by itself. It is so good. So hopefully you will also be enjoying your Pico de Gallo, and I hope that you try this recipe. If you'd like to give it a shot, you can check out the recipe and the show notes at veganagogo.com. And if you have any comments or any recipe ideas or anything, go ahead and email us at fans@veganagogo.com. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.